Well, you blew me away in your presentation there at the end. I was impressed with you before and with NG before, but I got a full picture, and it was stunning. I think we're going to have a big series on NG now. But the amazing thing, when I saw you in Abu Dhabi in January, I was like totally unexpected that you were going to be talking like you were. And then today again, it was the same kind of deal. And Monica said, he said he's not from YouTube. He's not from a big corporation. He's a serial entrepreneur for a decade. So I think it's amazing that NG took you in, and they want you to basically lead a bunch of startups, which is that's breakthrough in my opinion. That's the breakthrough solution. What can you say about that and their decision?
Well, first that it's.
So can you say a little more about that, and where it came from, as far as you know, and what you're planning to do then in that role?
The first origin of all that is a person, and that person is our CEO, who took over a year ago, Isabelle Cocher, and she has the broad vision, the vista, that says, hey, the world of energy is entering a revolution. By the way, she doesn't use the word transition anymore. She uses the word revolution. It's her term. And the way it's translating into putting together a team at the executive committee level was to say, I need people with different backgrounds, and in order to match what is necessary on the technology side, it has to be an entrepreneur. So I was in the group having sold my company to NG.
Solar Direct, yeah?
Solar Direct.
Yeah.
And she asked me to join.
She must have. What did she see in you? I'm going to make you blush. What did she see in you? Why you? What?
A disruptor.
Yeah, you are.
Which is not always an easy thing to be, by the way.
Really?
But if you're a disruptor, at the same time know how to align interests, which is necessary. In a large organization, you always need to understand what is at stake, the large objectives. We're talking about 150,000 people. We're talking about 200 years of history. You cannot just, hey, this doesn't exist. Quite to the contrary. If you have the entrepreneurial drive and leverage on it, wow, there's no limit.
Well, there's a lot, of course, that can be said about it, but this is very atypical, it seems, in the major old corporations to have such a focus of, hey, let's just get this entrepreneur to run startup after startup in a very disruptive fashion and let it go where it is. Google has this kind of approach, maybe to some extent. We don't need to bring in other companies, but it's that revolutionary spirit, right? And when we launched this conference tour, I thought, what should it be called? We named it Clean Tech Revolution Tour. It just captures that. When did the revolution hit you? And when you were a boy, right?
Oh, me?
Yeah. When did it hit you, and how did that guide your career into this?
I was an entrepreneur. I started my first company I started was in 1999. I had previously worked with technology entrepreneurs for a number of years, listed their companies. At one point they told me, why don't you start your own company? And I said, I'm in banking. Nobody starts businesses in banking.
So you came from banking?
Technology finance. That's the first thing I was in. And then innovation consulting, the second firm I started. And then solar power. And then I teamed up with guys who knew something about solar. And who were very, very great guys and girls. And we put together a team which is still running Solar Direct 11 years after its foundation. So it's an acquired taste. I was not,
surprising, very surprising.
You know what? In France, if you have a degree, you don't start companies. In my family, in my father's family, the very large family, the only person who started a company was the guy who did not have any degree. The others, and by the way, he had the best success. And his brothers and sisters were jealous.
Well, you see the innovators that come out of Silicon Valley. They don't typically come from the finance sector. They don't typically come from this kind of background. How did you get that? How did you get that spirit then? Is it just from working with the people you worked with, just from the avenue you came into in finance, or was there kind of you were always looking for, hey, what's around the corner? What's the end game here? Do you have a kind of is your approach to life? What's the end game? Do you think about what's the meaning of life often?
It's changing the world. What people were doing, the incredible feeling that we had in the late 1990s with this internet wave bubble, whatever you call it, was that we are changing the world. Not only to become rich, lots of people think about it as becoming rich, but technology is changing things for the better. And this is a conviction I've always had, that it can do it at large scale. And when I got bumped into, if I may say, solar PV 12 years ago, realized that it was the only electronics form of energy generation, that it was like Moore's law in operation, that it was an easy call, that the most expensive energy source will in due course be the least expensive one. I even wrote it. And it was, people say, oh, you're a visionary. No, I'm not a visionary. I looked at, I looked at...
You understand the math.
Yeah.
The math, yeah. When it comes down to it, it's we were talking earlier with people, it's like, it's sort of surprising that people don't see, well, you gave a wonderful example in your presentation, the forecasts are always linear. What the hell? What has history told us? That it's not linear when a disruptive technology comes around, right? But so it comes from the math, it sounds like. It stems. Did you also have a tech fascination, a tech interest, or are you more, you seem like you definitely have a humanistic side, a very...
No, I'm not a geek. I tend to be, the early adopters. I'm not among the early adopters. I'm fascinated by that from a, let's say, sociology standpoint. What I want is impact.
Yeah.
I always remember discussions I had personally with Bill Clinton in 2012 at the Clinton Global Initiative. I had the privilege of having a personal one-to-one discussion for over 20 minutes with him. Incredible person, notwithstanding what happens after that. But no, he was talking about impact.
Yeah.
And he's saying, what we're doing is impacting 400 million people. Well, that's impact, changing people's lives. And when Solar Direct won the first competitive bidding in India in 2011 at super low prices, the Indian press said Solar Direct is bringing solar power to the common man. Is endangering the Indian diesel generation industry. That's it.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you had the vision for solar when nobody thought solar costs would drop that far, because you looked at the math of how disruptive technology occurs. We published an article a few months ago about your prediction, which you made again today, about $10 oil, $10 barrel oil, free energy.
That got me into trouble.
Yeah.
So please don't repeat it.
Okay, so but you went along that similar kind of communication today. Again, people call you a visionary, but you're saying that you're just looking at the math behind how society changes, how technology changes, and where that leads us, right?
Yes, and at the same time, to get back to the financing side, one of the key reasons for success for Solar Direct was to analyze that it is a super capital intensive industry. So reducing the cost of capital, reducing risk, while lots of people were trying to maximize returns, the idea that we had, and we brought in the likes of Caisse des Dépôts, ultimately BlackRock. BlackRock was the largest funder, and still today the largest funder of Solar Direct projects, become NG Solar, which means that you have a $5 trillion house banking on the fact that you can do low risk, low return thing, which are a very good business for its investors. And this is the holy grail of finance for me, which is what we need to do in this revolution. We need trillions of dollars. And those trillions will come from pension funds. They won't come from subsidies. The idea that you need subsidies is mistaken. There's no trillions of subsidies around just to be collected, and ask Mr. Trump if he wants to give any.
Yeah.